So good evening again, Elizar and Orlando. And I just don't know if they are informed sa kanang message natin, no? Everyone. Yeah. So isend lang na ako kasi naamang some of you were not actually on the group chat. So ako pa to siyang i-include.
Okay, ma'am.
I-send ko lang ulit.
Okay,
So,
ma'am.
yes, Orlando?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so last time we stopped here in self-sufficiency ratio. So we can see here actually the different percentage. So if it reached the 100% or 100, so it means that we are sufficient. No, but in terms of crops, you can see ito yung mga nag-orange, no? We are sufficient on that. But yung ibang color, like the green ones, we are, but here, no, in terms of vegetables, we are sufficient. And also in terms of livestock, only chibon, chicken, egg, and duck egg are sufficient, while in terms of fisheries naman, only milkfish, oyster, and crabs and shrimps or prawns, and almost yung tilapia natin is almost sufficient na. So that's how it is presented in the self-sufficiency. So we cannot totally say that we are really sufficient in terms of everything. Although lahat ng fruits sufficient tayo, and commercial crops except coffee were not sufficient. And for rice and corn, which are our grains or cereals, we're not really sufficient. And for potato, of course, because we are not so much extensive with potato production. But for sweet potato and cassava, we are, and some mongo and peanut, onion and garlic. We still cannot suffice the demand of the local market. So moving on, we have our palay production as of 2019. So you can see here, in terms of gross returns, we have amounting to 66,000, no? And yung gagastusin natin yung for the production per hectare ay nasa 45,300. What's this over? Nakuryente ka no? Nakuryente ka no? You okay now? What's this? What's this? What's this? This one. What's this? You okay? You okay? Promise? You okay?
Okay lang mo, ma'am. Okay lang mo diya, ma'am.
You don't do that again. You don't do that again, promise? Hindi po so. Ay, kani. You don't do that again, ha? You don't do that again.
Dili, gawas na tabi. Nag-process si mami ba?
Which one? Which one? Can you hold? This one? This one? Magpunas pa ka lang, ha? You just wait for mom. Just wait for mom. Anak ko magpunas. Hold on. Really? You sit down here. Sit down. Sit down here. Okay? Sorry, ha? You just use the phone. Okay? Okay. Fine. Huh? Keep quiet. Don't cry na, ha? You okay now? Huh? You okay now? Ayun. Kasi naya na ang boring, okay? You promise, okay? Dara lang ka. Okay, so, sorry na nakasakit ko pinalive. Kaya akong anak nagtusok sa electric fan. So, dili ko sure, wala man po siya naunsa. Hindi ko sure kung na kuryente siya or na ano yung kamot. Ay, so sorry for that. So again, going back, lagi sa muka or ganahan mo na siya mag-uban-uban sa kwadri sa kwarto pag nag-classic po niya.
Okay lang, ma'am. Okay lang, ma'am.
Gani. So yeah, this is for palay production. So ang estimate talaga nagagastos per hectare kung magpalay is 45,000, no? And konti lang yung net return, which is 21,000. So for me, it's konti lang talaga. So for irrigated, more or less nasa mga ganong figures din. And compared to non-irrigated, medyo konti lang yung ating net returns, no? Kumpara sa irrigated. And for the world production, I mean regional production, so we have the highest production producing area is yung ating Central Visayas. Central Visayas. Highest production
Central
cost.
Visayas, ma'am.
Yeah, Central Visayas and yung BARM lowest production cost. In terms of net profit or cost ratio naman is yung BARM. Okay, so that's it. And for corn naman, just to compare, medyo maliit lang yung production cost as well as yung net returns and gross returns. And between the white and yellow corn, medyo mas malaki ang kita sa yellow corn kumpara sa white corn. And yung ating highest ay yung Central Visayas pa din and Calabarzon and lowest production cost. And Mimaropa in terms of net profit or cost ratio. So in terms naman din under agriculture labor, as of 2019, we have 331, which is maliit lang siya, a day of work equivalent to 8 hours. And in fact, mas 335 for male and 305 for female. So this is the average weight rates by sex and by region. So although umabot siya sa minimum na 400 in somewhere in Calabarzon, but this is the average for that of all the rates. And based on crop alone, no, we can see the differences here. Ang most highest paid na crop labor is yung ating palay, followed by coconut, and then sugarcane, and then corn farms. And for Philippine agriculture economy, so we can see here, our agriculture shares only 8.1% sa ating gross domestic products. So what are the distribution of agriculture by sector? So 48% of this 8.1% is actually from crops, followed by fishery and livestock, and poultry, as well as last is yung mga agriculture activities and services, perhaps yung mga tourism or whatever and the rest, no? And in terms of value in peso, we have 1.6 billion sa current prices, and less than pa, no, if we consider constant prices. In terms of production naman, yung highest produced ng country natin, of course, although palay, but it's still not sufficient if you follow the same figure last time, amounting to 4.8 million hectares, followed by corn, which is 2.5 million hectares. So ito yung ating production growth rate from 2017 to 2018. No, nag-increase siya lahat by 1% sa palay and corn, and also 2.4% sa hog, and 5% naman sa chicken. And this is the production in terms of million metric tons. So number 1 ang palay, followed by corn, hog, and chicken. And also we contribute, the agricultural industry contribute to employment, no, by 24.3%. And the major industry group talaga is in terms of services, which is 56% sa employment ng whole Philippines, followed by the industry, 19%. So yung ating agricultural workers has an average of 306 as of 2018. And so far, we have 7.7 million na mga male workers and only 2.2 million female workers in agriculture employment. So if we also try to figure out yung ating external trade or yung exportation natin versus importation, this is as of 2012 pa na, no? So just to compare the recent and the previous. So we have 322 billion exports, and but marami tayong imports, which is 742 billion. And if you can see, 12% lang ang import kumpara sa 8% na export. No? And our top agricultural imports are the wheat and soybean and milk, while export natin is banana, coconut oil, and tuna. So as you can see, it varied, no, yung sa latest. And in terms naman of prices, we have this one. What would you do that to your mom? Okay, kiss mo naman. Okay. I will make it better, okay? You just sit down here. Yeah, I wait for mommy, okay? So, based sa 2012 na Consumer Price Index, 117% all items ng agricultural products, while 126% naman yung mga food and non-alcoholic beverages. So we have inflation rate of 5.2% among these agricultural products. Sa rice, 5%, 6% sa meat, and 5% sa fruit. So 9.8%, nagtaas lahat ng ating price. 12% sa fish and 10% sa vegetable since 2012. So yun lang, and I hope you answered this your quizzes. I guess lahat kayo tapos naman ata, no? Just to check sa inyong sa dashboard. So that is under, I think that is under the status of, so there is still one, sorry, mali, Philippine agriculture. So there's still one na hindi pa nakapagtapos. By the way, may I also remind you, kasi although you have score, si Ronel na lang, wala si Sir Ronel karon, no? So hindi pa nakapag-start, no? For Sir Orlando, you have completed, but Sir Eliazar, parang hindi po na, although you have scored the quiz, pero it doesn't reflect here yung lesson complete. 0 out of 1 ka pa. And also si Ma'am
Okay mo na,
Rowena.
ma'am.
It just means that kailangan na check ito lahat, yung mga text lesson.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Sige, ma'am.
Although
So,
I will
diba?
just yes.
Na-
Although I will just I will just consider only the score, the quiz score. But just make sure na
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
reflect yung lessons complete kasi it would imply kasi negative sa doon sa report ng quiper na although you have answered the quiz but then you did not complete the lesson. So yun yung magre-reflect. So you better ensure that although I have known
So,
from my
kinahanglan ka i-completohon yung answer, ma'am, no?
Oo. Kasi this is 25% of your grade.
Okay, ma'am.
And then I'm going to
Okay
give
po, ma'am.
you
Okay po, ma'am.
1 lab report and 1 exam. Okay.
Okay po, ma'am.
Yes. Yeah. And madawat na ninyo sa later sa inyong paper essay. So that's for the Philippine agriculture. We will proceed with the prelim for the midterm topic that includes the branches of agriculture, which are crop science and the history of agriculture, crops, and animal science, no? And for now, I actually sent you this one already. Etong ating na-send ko na to sa inyong So i-preview ko lang. It's already in your dashboard. On crop classification. So nauna na ata sino ba 'tong nauna? So nauna na si Ma'am Rowena, although wala siya ngayon, no? But then again, yung quiz lang ang na-complete niya. Yung topics ay hindi. So it again connotes a unfinished na report. No, although naman I have learned nga sa iba nga tungod gani daw sa hina ng signal dili daw siya mo reflect. Although nabasa nila actually gina-click lang man na dapat. Like this, no, gina-next na ko siya. No. So for this session we're going to talk about, no, hopefully we will finish by this 45 minutes. And we will talk about the botanical classification of crops, which is still under the branch of agriculture. So we have 2 branches of agriculture, the crop science and animal science. Of course, when we say crop science, all crops, no? And for classification of crops, we will be doing botanical classification, which is scientific. And we will also have descriptive and agricultural classification. So when we say botanical classification, I don't know kung medyo klaro ba sa inyo. So padak ko lang ako, ha? So ayan. So for the botanical classification, this will be based on morphological characteristic of plants, no? Ibig sabihin yung anatomy niya, yung kanyang structure and physiology, yung kanyang different processes, and even DNA sequence, no? Considering that. So this descriptive classification is actually based on environmental adaptation, their growth habit, and other observable features. And in agriculture, these are broadly classified either as useful or unuseful. So yung lahat ng plants natin, botanically, since botany is the study of plants, these are called crops if they have uses. But if not, they are called weeds. Of course, we are familiar with the terms, no? So weeds are out of place. Weeds are not don't have a economic value for crop production, and so we have a common, well-defined system also of crop classification in crop science and in agriculture as a whole. And so we have actually grouping established system by plant collection initiatives, research, breeding, and specialized development efforts. And we have made standards, botanical names, para ma-facilitate yung efficient communication. Kasi alam natin that every region, even in the here only solely in the Philippines, we have different names for different crops. So much more when we go to country, no? Region to region. So we need a standard, one standard na way of classifying or naming this plants, no? And so this will also facilitate dissemination and retrieval scientific information. So this grouping of crops will indicate also that they have similar uses, adaptation, growth habits, and methods of culture. So, for example, we classify them by family. So it's very important in intergenic grafting as practiced in eggplant and tomato. So we know that because eggplant and tomato it's just on the same family, pwede na to siya graft, no? So they are both under Solanaceae, and like for example, for bottled gourd and cucurbits and watermelon, no, they can also be within the same family na pwede natin i-graft, no? And also in terms of disease control and prevention, we can classify usually the same family, the same diseases lang, like for potato and tomato. So kung mag-intercropping ka, importante na one technique is dili ka mag-intercrop of crops na with the same family lang, kasi most probably you will increase the disease infection kasi pareho lang sila og kanang mga insekto or diseases din. So they are both affected by fungal disease called late blight, or and therefore you can have a list of crops under various agriculture classification. So these are very useful reference, no, for identification and also for your guide when you do the your backyard gardening or farming, no. And we also have disadvantages, but however, classification of these crops in agriculture will vary from different places and also in terms of uses. So ito lang yung kaniyang advantages, no? But the absence of universal standards should be a major concern sa lahat, especially when you are trying to communicate with other scientists or you're making a research study of such. No, it's very important that you only use. That's why kung naay mga researches, we always use the scientific name, no, versus the common name, because it's more a very basic and a more concrete na kanang name for classification. So for peanut, it's a legume seed crop and being grown for their mature seeds, and they are often classified as oilseed crop or industrial crop. So this is another way of classifying them, and so they also belong to plantation crop. No, and like also another one, sweet potato and white potato, they are also considered horticultural crops because they are taken care intensively, and also can be classified as agronomic crops. So depende talaga yung ating way of classification, no? In the in the Food and Agricultural Organization, or FAO, which is under United Nations, we have also a verbatim provision, no, like the crop statistics, concept definition, and classification. So let's try to look at this. So we have concept definition, coverage, and classification of crops. grown in different countries, including the differences, no, and international comparability. So una is the botanical classification of crops. So we have rules on botanical classification of crops, which is under the International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, or the ICBN, and the ICNCP, or the International Code of Nomenclature for Cultivated Plants. So like any other international codes, wala tayong legal status in a way, but it is very dependent on voluntary acceptance. And throughout the years, we have accepted this, and we have specific authors, editors on this specific way. So yung ICBN, or again, the Code of Botanical Nomenclature, it was formulated in 1935 by authorities in taxonomy. So lahat sila mga taxonomies, which gone through debate, divergent rules, and since 1867, meron silang Congress held in Paris. So in 1905, yung mga botanists sa Europe, they convened in Vienna and made a code of botanical nomenclature. And it was in this meeting that Carl Linnaeus, who authored the Species Plantarum na na-publish noong 1753, ito yung naging starting point or yung kanilang reference. So of course, Carl Linnaeus, that's why yung mga scientific name natin like for rice is sativa L. Kasi si Carlos Linnaeus ang nag-ano niyan, author. So mostly yung mga scientific name have capital letters for those who have actually contributed them. So it was Carlos Linnaeus Species Plantarum ang nagiging reference nila for botanical name. So meron if you can read this book, they have in 1907, yung American botanists have created code where introduced type specimen allowed Tauto names, These are identical genus and species names, or allowed in zoology. And finally, yung mga European American codes nag-merge into international code, at nagkaroon tayo ng standard botanical nomenclature in 1935. So yung ICBN is actually revised every 6 years. Yung last revision nila ay tinawag nilang Vienna Code, and adopted by the 17th International Botanical Congress as of 2005. And it was, imagine 100 years after the Congress in the same place in 1905. So, yung next Congress in 2011 was actually held in Australia, and they just made salient provision of the code, which are summarized below. So yung kingdom ay regnum, division or phylum, and division phylum, yung class, naging classes before, and order from ordo, and familia, family, genus, species. So the secondary ranks in descending sequence are tribe or tribus between family and genus, and section and series between genus and species. So those are the different systems of classification, in history. And we also have variety, or yung mga varieties and forms and forma below species. So as we can see natin, mga cultivar, that's still under rank on that. So the terms are made by adding the prefix sub to the terms denoting the principal secondary ranks. And also, aside from this, there are family names na matagal lang ginamit, and may not be consistent with the ACA termination na siya, determinate na siya. But then until now, since still valid, so they have alternative names. So for example, for Compositae, as they are Asteraceae. For Cruciferae, they are Brassicaceae, Graminae, Poaceae, Guttiferae, or Clusiaceae. So binago nila. And Labiaceae, Lamiaceae, Leguminosae, Fabaceae siya before. Palmae, Ericaceae siya before, and Umbelliferae, Apiaceae siya before. So na-change siya. And so this is now the hierarchical ranking of the plant categories or taxa. na this is now our standard criteria sa botanical classification. So as you can see here, we have the kingdom, the subkingdom, the division and subdivision, the class, subclass, and order, suborder, and family, subfamily, tribe, subtribe, genus, section, series, species, subspecies, variety, and form. So hanggang ganyan ang classification na natin ngayon. But then scientifically, we use only the genus and the species. So in the end of at the end of this actually in the end of this you can see here sa baba yung I have examples of classification, I mean scientific names and family names. So you will see later. But we only have 3 minutes left already. So sorry for that. Well, anyway, that's botanical classification. And the second way of classifying our crops is through descriptive classification. So meron tayong mga tawag based on their description. So halimbawa, letter A, we have crop classification according to mode of reproduction. No, whether sexual sila or asexual. When we say sexual, yung mga plants na meron talagang male and female pollination na nangyari, no? Like the palms and ferns, no? Example, and also flowering plants. But however, we also have asexual, no? It means that they only reproduce without pollination, and sexual reproduction. So they only reproduce by vegetatively with the union of sexual gametes or apomixis or apomictic. So have you heard apomixis before? So kung if you know apomixis, it is just a the production of seeds, but with two types of seedlings, no? Kasi it has capability na mag-produce ng nuclear tissue which became a newly born na seedling, but it's very it's the same clone with the mother plant. So if you notice, etong siniguelas, breadfruit, mangosteen, and mango and citrus, kung sometimes when you check the seeds, na ay duha or tulo ka seedling mo gawa sa isa ka seeds. Ang isa na sexual and the rest asexual na siya. And by experience, most of yung naging ang prolific ay katong gikan sa nuclear tissues, which is exactly a clone of the mother plant. Like for mangosteen, that's why magtanong kag mangosteen, okay lang mag-seed kasi dili gyud siya mulahi, no? Pareho ra siya sa clone, mother clone. No, exactly the same because it's apomictic. So I guess yun lang muna because we are less than a minute already. So we are still under descriptive classification, sexual, asexual, and next meeting we're going to discuss about crop classification according to mode of pollination naman. And there are still a lot actually. So at this point, do you have any questions or clarifications? Sorry kayo, medyo na lang ko na intermission, no? So, ipakita ko lang sa inyo. If you have questions or clarifications, so you may do your questions now. So, ipakita lang na ako ang the next na mga topic. But we're going to discuss it by next meeting.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so naay mga pangutana, sir?
No, ma'am.